welcome to Coffee with MBA and Beyond, everyone. I love to do this week on week. I'm Paridhi, co-founder of MBA and Beyond. Today, hosting the session with Shantanu, founder of MBA and Beyond, and Pushkar. We are just going to let them introduce themselves in a bit. But before that, there are some burning questions we've received, and we're going to start off with that so that we are addressing most pressing questions, for the season right now. And then as we are going through the flow, feel free to raise your hands and mute yourself. And we can all go one by one as there are questions pertaining to the topics that we are talking about. If you're too shy and you do not want to raise your hand or do not want to unmute yourself, you can drop your question in the chat window and we take them up as we're going through the session. Just a little announcement for everybody who's looking. I know for round one, we're all pressed against time, but for anybody who's already thinking ahead of time for round two, we are offering some big discounts as early riser discounts up to 25% for a comprehensive package if you're looking to work with us. So just for anybody who's targeting round two right now, apart from round one. So round one, we will have to do what we can do best right now, maximum 2 schools at this stage. Just to get to know our audience better as our speakers introduce themselves, why don't you drop in the chat the rounds and the deadlines and maybe the schools that you're targeting. So we will be maneuvering through the session and we can tackle some of the questions depending on where our audience is at. So we make it more relevant for you. So we're ready to begin the session, and Pushkar, probably we could start with your introduction first and then over to you, Shantanu.
Thanks, Paridhi. Hello, everyone. Myself, Pushkar. I am an engineering grad. I did my undergrad from BITS Pilani. I worked in startups in the field of market research and data analytics for a period of 3 years. Then I transitioned to social impact space. And for the last 7 years, I have been working in social impact space, mainly advising national government and sub-national government on a range of issues spanning climate change, health, education, and rural employment. And I got admitted to Georgetown and Berkeley Haas. And I took, comprehensive package for 3 schools from MBA and Beyond. And I am, I'm going to join Berkeley Haas this fall. So, yeah.
Congratulations, Pushkar. That's really good to know. What a great school, so close to Silicon Valley. Is it something that you were dreaming to get into, or were there other dream schools on your list as well?
No, I think Berkeley was Berkeley was on top of the list.
That's good to know. I'm glad you made it through there. So now you're starting this September or next year?
So classes are starting from August, Paridhi, 25th of August. But my visa is in the month of September, so I would be joining a bit late by I think 1 or 2 months.
So, and just curious, as it's relevant, why did the visa take time? Was it you didn't get the appointment, or what exactly happened?
I mean, I didn't get the appointment. I mean, there was a circular from the US Embassy that they revoked the visa appointment for 2 months. So that's why we didn't get the appointment for 2 months starting from May, June. And all the appointments have recently started opening up.
Got it. All right. Congratulations. Nevertheless, you're leaving soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, all your bags should be packed. You're ready to go. Shantanu, over to you for a little introduction for our audience, and then we can start the session.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Shantanu. I'm the founder at MBA Beyond. Have been actually helping applicants get through the top-notch B schools, right? I understand most of you would have a short-term goal, a long-term goal. And a short-term goal for no one would be to become an MBA admissions consultant, first of all, right? But the biggest reason we are doing it is, I mean, whenever anyone gets through, I think Pushkar, we have not had a talk after you got through, right? So congrats, dude. And I understand that the times are tough, but I think you are getting in at the right time in a way that you still have 2 years to graduate, right? And things are going to be much, much better. Because if they don't, then the entire economy is crashing anyways, so even you don't have to pay your loan off. So, but again, congrats. So yeah, that's it. Paradi, over to you.
Thanks. And Pushkar, yes, as Shantanu said, like right in time, even though, I'm sure a lot of our audience is very nervous. Some of them I've had, one-on-one chats with right now. A lot of them wanted to apply to US business schools. Now they're diverting their focus either to Canada or to Europe. Naturally, of course, what's going on. But we feel, and we've been, of course, reading up a lot, analyzing a lot, that by the time this batch is going to graduate, things are going to fall back in place and things are going to be better. Having said that, it's always good to hedge your bets. For everybody sitting here right now, hedge your bets apply to across at least 2 to 3 geographies. So, by the time you have to make that decision, you can make an informed decision, because right now we are beggars, we are not choosers. Let's get into the business schools first across geographies, and then you can debate all that you want and then see which is the best geography for you to land. All right, so I am ready to start with the burning questions first as we go through the session. I'm just opening. And maybe like Pushkar, you can take this one up first, and Shantanu, then you could add. What key factors should one consider when shortlisting MBA programs? Since you shortlisted Berkeley Haas as one of your dream schools, so maybe you could enlighten all of us what were the parameters that you were looking into? What was the objective that you wanted to get out of an MBA when you picked programs?
Yeah, I think school selection is a very key factor. I mean, most of the time we do not pay that much emphasis into a school selection, and it's somewhat a bit underrated also. We tend to focus more on essays and other stuff, but I think a school selection is a very, very important factor, and I think one should put a lot of attention to it. And I mean, there are 3-4 factors that one can keep in mind while choosing the schools. I think one of the most important factors is alignment with the school's values, culture, and ethos. I mean, every school has some uniqueness to it, certain defining principles to it. And if you are able to relate to those cultural values, defining principles, and the basic ethos of that school, then I think, your, all other aspects are also important, like GRE and other stuff. But I think those can take a back seat if you are able to align all your essays, all your personality, whatever you are writing, as per the school's ethos, cultural values, and the defining principles. And so that's one important parameter. Second is post MBA job employment opportunities. One thing that I looked at while choosing Berkeley Haas was that I had certain uh, ambition of working in these 3 or 4 firms after my once I graduate from my MBA program. So I simply looked at how many folks or what sort of or how many alums are there in these sort of companies. So that's how you tend to get an idea ki, if people are landing up roles in these sort of companies, then this college is good to go. So that's one factor that I also kept in mind. And again, I mean, the third factor is related to the second factor, the alumni base. I mean, how many alumni have landed up in similar roles that you desire for yourself? So that's also one key aspect. And but again, I mean, the most important factor is the first factor. I mean, if you are able to relate to the I mean, I am just reiterating it, but it's very, 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 very important. I mean, both my school selections, like Georgetown and Berkeley, those were around these principles. Like I relate very much to resilience, persistence. Uh, um, um, uh, I mean, there are like 4 or 5 defining principles of UC Berkeley, and those directly resonated with me. So, and you need to highlight those aspects, those defining principles, those cultural values, those ethos in your essays. You need to bring out that aspect while writing. So, yeah, I mean, these 3 factors are most important. And I mean, and also here I would like to add one thing that MBA and Beyond team helped me was with they have this portal of content gathering. So there you write all your achievement, strength, weaknesses. So through that also you sometimes reflect, yeah, that has been your strength, that has been your weaknesses, and how that can tie up to the overall cultural values of that college. So once you start writing out those things, you start relating ki, this college relate to my skill sets. These colleges have these sort of principles values which I value. So yeah, all those sort of things helped me, and yeah, these were mainly the 3-4 parameters that I decided for myself while choosing an MBA school.
Thanks, Pushkar. Just curious, of course, we will circle back to this in a bit. What was the total number of years of experience when you submitted your application for you, just for the audience to know, and if you don't mind sharing your score as well, so we all can learn from that.
I
Even
had
though I'm aware, but for everyone.
I
Yeah.
had many years of experience. I had around 10 years of experience post my undergrad. I spent 7 years in social impact space and another 3 years in working with the startups in data analytics field. And I started with GMAT, but I was not getting good score in GMAT. But I didn't waste much time. I think I was clever in that decision making. So I quickly switched to GRE, and in GRE my score was 327.
Got it. Thanks, Pushkar. That's just reassuring also, these days we speak to, I don't know if we've got any candidates here who have more than 10 or 9 years of experience, the kind of doubts they have in their mind, like whether I'll be able to make it through to a 2-year program or not, whether it's worth it or not. So it's just reassuring for, for them that yes, people do go for an MBA, because MBA it does not go with a time limit outside of India, especially not international MBA. It has to come to you when you really need it the most, and you have to apply for it then, not before or not after. So as long as we can justify why MBA now, whether we have 3 years of experience or whether we have 10, 12 years of experience, I think we're good to go.
Yeah.
Um,
And also
yeah.
to add to this, Faridi, I mean, I'm just slightly tweaking one quote that in case of MBA, the destination matters. Journey somehow does not matter. So if you are landing up in your dream school, even after 10, 15 years, it really matters.
Yes.
It does not matter at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Shantanu can talk about the long-term ROI of MBA more than, the short-term ROI. I think we can take that up as a discussion as well, because, a lot of times as applicants, we worry, what is the ROI of it? And when we are evaluating the ROI, we are just looking at the salary that we are going to be making immediately after. But the impact that it has in your life, like you talked about the alumni network, the human capital that you have around you to support you, and what you can really make out of it is humongous. But yes, going back to the point that you made about the process of MBA and beyond, I feel, like even though, of course, I'm sitting on the other side, not eulogizing it, I really feel that MBA and beyond very distinctively set out from the rest of the industry, especially how we do the school selection. Because, a lot of times, more than 50% of the times, candidates come with a mindset that they want to apply to XYZ schools. But when you do the content gathering phase, when you come up with your branding and when you realize your value proposition to the business school, and if you don't have examples to support for a particular business school, why would you go ahead and even put in the effort in that direction? If you can't convince the adcom, you're basically you can utilize those 20 days doing any other application where you're a better fit. So, like you very correctly and rightly said, that the time that should go into selecting the schools is extremely underestimated for your MBA application, and that does take up a lot of time. So, Shantanu, maybe you could give your 2 cents on how do you suggest, right now, if candidates are at a stage, not for round one, we are late to do the whole thing of school selection, but maybe for round two, folks, how can they approach selecting the schools for themselves?
Right. So I think the best way, the way Pushkar mentioned, right? The best way to do a school selection is first of all to know yourself better. Just from the surface, like generally what I generally see, things floating around. I have these many years of experience. This is my current industry. This is my post MBA goal. What school should I apply? Right. I mean, guys, it doesn't happen this way. The way we go about it is what Pushkar mentioned, the content gathering, the portal. After that, what we do is like we really get into your story. We first of all create a narrative out of you. We get into your story. And I remember, Pushkar, that even for your goals, we were sort of deciding on different options, right? That option A is this and option B is this, right? Let's see where are we going to go along. And correct me if I'm wrong, that it was also a point in the journey when you were also skeptical about HAAS a little, right? You were also going to like I don't know, whether this and he said like it's his dream school, he wants to get there, right? But was being skeptical, right? So yeah, guys, I mean, just on the surface, it's extremely difficult to say anything, like what schools you should apply to. But yeah, the moment we start diving in, I mean, the way we like, see, eventually it was Pushkar's decision, guys. It was Pushkar's decision overall. Our job over here was to provide him information, and we are consultants to provide as much information as possible. Eventually it was his, right? But I think one of the other key factors that was played in here was also that we mentioned that we have seen HAAS taking in candidates like you, right? Like candidates with higher years of experience, right? So guys, these are the sort of insights that which we can provide once we get to know you, right? And just to add to Pushkar's thing also, like he has had a great social impact experience, which definitely played into his favor. So yeah, guys, I mean, we first of all need to identify what your strengths are. What need do you have in terms of content, and then try to see how is it aligned with respect to different schools. Like have schools taken similar profiles, right? Like not exactly profile like you, it's going to be extremely hard to find, but similar people, right? That is the right way. And I'm not going to repeat whatever Pushkar said, because he was bang on target in identifying the values and then trying to see the ethos, right? But yeah, that's how you should go about it.
Yeah. And like you talked about social impact. So just for all of you, I don't know how much evaluation, sometimes we can self-evaluate if we are a good fit for the business school or not. That's what I tell a lot of times, when I do evaluations for a lot of candidates. So for Pushkar, like Shantanu said, social impact, Berkeley has one very important value, even though they just say beyond yourself. But what does that really mean? And what does that really mean in HAAS's context, that you have to understand, and you have to really know whether we belong there or not. Whenever you're trying to fit into a business school and you don't belong there, it becomes difficult. And no school is a dream school if you're a value fit. I would say that again, because you belong there, because you have the example. So for Pushkar, beyond yourself would mean, really giving to the community, contributing to the community. And beyond yourself is just another lingo of contribution to the community, which a lot of business schools use otherwise. So that's what they're really looking for, and that's why he turned out to be a great fit for HAAS. All right. Also, as we're going over through to the next question, I would like all of you to maybe think through a little and answer what, even if for one school, you could showcase one example and one value that you feel matches for you. I think we would do a little workshop on the side, like one value of yours that matches to one of your dream schools. And if you're not aware of the values of the dream schools, then I think it might just be a great exercise for you to look up the values. I don't know, just ask ChatGPT maybe, or just put it on Google and see if you're resonating with it or not. As we're going through the session, do feel free to drop that, and we'd be happy to comment and we can chat about those, as it is related to the context that we're having a discussion on right now. Next question: what common mistakes do candidates make the most in their MBA essays and interviews? So maybe Shantanu, do you want to start with, or Pushkar? If you have 2 cents, maybe you can start first, because otherwise Shantanu and I are always talking.
I think with Pushkar's smile on the face, I think he has a few points. Go ahead, Pushkar.
Yeah,
No,
go ahead.
I just remembered those days of interview when I was after Rahat, one of the team members of MBA and Beyond. I was constantly pinging her. arrange me interviews with these many consultants, that many consultants, and you guys were absolutely very kind. I had around 4 to 5 rounds of mock interviews with MBA and Beyond team. I mean, two and three rounds were with my own consultant, and there were two separate rounds with another consultants. So yeah, and thank you, and all those feedbacks were really, really helpful. So guys, coming to the interview bit, I mean, just do not try to oversell yourself. Sometimes we are in a hurry to impress the other person, and trust me, all the admissions committee, all the interviewers, they can see through you. I mean, if you are thinking that you can fool them, or if you are thinking that you can impress them with something which you are not, then that will fall completely flat. So I mean, just do not do all those stuff. Be original. I'll focus on 2 or 3 key aspects which you would like interviewer to know. I mean, it may sound very philosophical, but every person is unique in certain way. I mean, they all have certain uniqueness, and you need to bring out that uniqueness in your interactions with the interviewer as well. I mean, the last question that one of the my interviewer at Berkeley Haas asked me that, tell me anything that you would like to share with me. So I mean, and I think that was the most important question of that entire interview. After all those things were done, after all those tell me about a time, those questions were completed. He just asked me, tell me something which you would want me to know. So I mean, and in that question, you need to bring out that unique aspect, that unique skills which you think others might not have. So as Shantanu said, understanding yourself is most important part of MBA applications. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand your uniqueness. You need to bring out that aspect. So in interviews, also just be original. Focus on uh, uh, couple of unique selling point which you have. For example, in my case, one of the things that has a, that and I think that has been my selling point is the stakeholder management. In social impact, I have dealt with large number of stakeholders, right from legislatures to government bureaucrats to NGOs to foundation to grassroots communities. And through all those stake and managing these stakeholders requires a lot of persistence and resilience. So I brought these two, I mean, and I was completely focusing on these two aspects, that I have the persistence and the resilience which others might not have. So those identifying those crucial elements in yourself is most important aspect. And do as much mock interviews you can do. I mean, you can do mock interviews with your friends. You can ask the consultant, or you can ask the like for in my case, I had I mean MBA. I had like 3 4 rounds of interactions with MBA and Beyond team. So try to do as many mock interviews as you can. I mean, you start feeling confident. You start feeling confident about the answers. You have all those questions already framed in the mind. So, I mean, mock interviews does help a lot. So yeah, these couple of things you can keep in mind for the interviews. And also for the essays bit, I mean, this my consultant told me, and I am just borrowing his line. My consultant from Devansh, ME and Beyond team, Devanshu told me that all your essays, all your applications should be like a movie. At the end of the day, the admissions committee should get to know you, that this is the person. I mean, once you see a movie, you get to know what the movie stands for, how is the movie. I mean, you are able to get a sense of those things. So all the essays, all your resume, all your short-term goals, long-term goals, all should tie to one another. And at the end of the day, it should be like a beautiful movie that admissions committee can see, this is the guy, this is his value, this is his personality. There is not at all any confusion in that. So yeah.
Thanks, Pushkar. I think that was very beautifully put. Shantanu, do you have anything to add over there?
Right. Yeah, I think Pushkar, you covered it really very well. I think the way your essay should start, it should be like a scene in your a scene if there's a movie made on you. So it should be a scene of your life, you know. Should start with a moment. But anyways, so this is not like a common mistake, but this is something that it's more of a desirable thing to have in storytelling, right? But if I come on to the common mistake that people make is that they just keep on talking about their profession. That's it. I did this, I did that, blah blah blah. You know, I moved that success metric from A to B. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm not saying, I mean, eventually it's a B school application. We've got to write that. You know, not denying it, but your personality is not coming out through this, right? And if you just want to write the success metrics, the KPI, the results that you've achieved, I know everyone keeps on talking about star format, but what it really does is it makes you comparable with others. Right? Then I can really compare like one essay to the other rapper. You know, this guy moved success metric by 40%, this guy moved by 45%, the same success metric. All right, this guy is better than the other guy, right? And also then there's no differentiation as well, right? Everyone seems so mechanical. And we generally feel that our differentiating factor is going to come from our achievement. But guys, no. Your differentiating factor is you. And then your achievement is the icing on the cake, but the cake is you, you know. And that's what needs to be figured out. And I think it's the biggest mistake that people make in the essays, where they don't talk about their who they are. In the interview, the bunch of them, I think you got to treat interview as like an open game, a middle game, and an end game. The way we prepare people for interview is you need to drive your first 10 minutes, right? You know that they are looking for goals, why MBA, why the school, you know, you also know that they are actually looking to understand leadership experiences and blah blah, right? So how about you tie them up properly, you know, throw a few baits at them and then let them, you know, come back to those questions, and you already have prepared the answers. The other common mistake that people make is that they don't go by the essays. They mention something in the essays, but now what they're talking about is a little different. You know, the other thing that people make common mistake in the interview is that, oh, is like, let's say the interviewer is reading a resume and asks a question, and you're like, is this sitting in my resume? I thought I deleted it, you know, or I don't even remember it's there, right? So I think these are the other common mistakes that people make. Yeah, there are actually a bunch of them. Other one is feeling hurt on a probable cause that you believe in, right? So I mean, their agenda, the interview agenda, is not to hurt you. I mean, I've had an applicant who argued with the interviewer, still got waitlisted, you know, didn't get rejected, but got waitlisted, and the only deal was the argument over a certain point, and it just doesn't make sense to argue in the interview, right? The other thing that is that if, like, you know, people notch up their resume a bit, right? You know, decorate it, and in the decoration, just the way Pushkar said, they can actually see through you. So if you've decorated it, there is a way to defend it, right? You can just go about saying that this is what I did, blah, 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 right? Now that person they're going to keep on asking you whys inside. So the deal is, if you're not prepared for at least 2 to 3 whys in your storyline, then you're bound to fail. You know, it's another mistake that people make. Yeah, buddy, that's it. I have more, but I think I should stop now.
That was really good. Yeah, Pushkar, you wanna add?
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Shantanu highlighted all the most of the pitfalls, and I think one thing which I would like to add, and which my consultant also flagged it out that in the mocks I was feeling a bit low on confidence. So while you are going for the interview, I mean, you should have that confidence in your mind that I have already been selected. I mean, if the university is calling you for the interviews, they see something in you. I mean, they otherwise they don't invest that much amount of time. So you should feel like you should feel in a way that I have already reached the finishing line. I just need to cross it now. So have that feeling of confidence in yourself that you have. I mean, you 90% of the game is done. Just 10% of that is remaining. And as one of the again defining principles of Berkeley is confidence without attitude. So just go with that thing in the interview. That's it.
Shantanu, you're on mute.
My bad.
If you're
Yeah.
talking.
So, confidence is key, and your passion should be more contagious than COVID-19. Interview should catch it. And I remember actually during my interview, I mean, one of you asked me, so guys, I'm an INSEAD grad 2017 December batch. My second interviewer just sat in front of me. We were in Singapore. There was Starbucks, called me over there. Had just one printout, so I kind of knew that he has not read my essays. And asked me to order the coffee. Meanwhile, he was going through my resume, and then comes up and says, why am I here? And doesn't say anything, for the first 60 seconds, just looks at my resume. Then he says, why am I here? To see if you are a fake or not. I mean, guys, like if I almost shat my pants at that time, because I knew, I mean, like, this guy, his feedback is going to decide my admit, right? And he started off on this note. So another important thing, another common mistake that people make, or I would say is important to do, obviously confidence, and then also trying to maintain your composure and hold your nerves, because there would definitely be a moment during the entire interview, right? If the interview is going to go for 45-60 minutes, right, there would definitely be not just one moments where you would feel, man, I probably don't know the exact answer. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to convince this guy, right? And there are interviewers who are not even going to nod. Like, for instance, if you're speaking to someone and the other person is nodding, you're like, you're getting the instant feedback, right? But if a person is like sitting like this, staring you, not even blinking eyes, just staring at you, right? So you're not getting that feedback, right? So I think this another very important factor over here is to maintain your calm, maintain your composure. You should know how to sit. You should know how to look into the eyes while giving your answer, because all of these things, the hand gestures, right, all of these things show how confident you are. And if someone is there to judge you are fake or not, then your confidence matters a lot, like a lot. That's where I would like to end.
And also and just a minute, Paridi. And also I mean, based on your skill set, based on your personality, you can also take a call which mode of interviews would you like to go ahead with. For example, most of the universities offers either in person or virtual. But for example, in my case, I always prefer virtual. I always prefer in-person mode of interviews. So just, I mean, think twice before selecting those options as well. Whichever mode you are most comfortable with, go ahead with that.
That's a very important information, I believe. Also, I think the follow-up question, and it's just out of curiosity for both of you. Do you think that in person, let's say if somebody is not comfortable with in-person interview, will the in-person interview be preferred over a virtual interview?
No, no, Paridi. My Berkeley's interview was a virtual one. So
Was a virtual interview. All right, that's very reassuring to know. Very,
it does
very
not
good.
matter at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think post-COVID virtual interviews have really picked up. Pre-COVID, almost everyone wanted to do in person. But post-COVID, but let's say if you're having an interview with one of the AdCom committee member, then it actually had been throughout virtual, right? But now, yeah, there's no difference. There's actually
Yeah.
no difference.
Okay, that's good to know. Also, the part, where how we help candidates prepare for the interview, we never have your primary consultant prepare you for the interview because, I mean, you naturally be very comfortable with your primary consultant. So you need to face, there's a second or a third consultant that comes in to help you prepare for the interview. So you really face it like it's an actual drill or it's an actual interview that you're facing from someone who does not know your story, also someone you're not comfortable with. So like Pushkar said, try to do that with multiple people and try to do that with people who can really, execute it like at a very serious level, because you need to put you, and also like do it with people who can really challenge you in various parts where you are weak. So yeah, I think that's about that. Then next question is, when should applicants start financial planning and scholarship research? So, I mean, of course, two different parts, but Pushkar, do you want to start? And then Shantanu and I can add on to it.
I mean, for scholarships, Paridhi, I mean, round one is very important. I mean, I have seen my colleagues who have gone into Berkeley Haas. I mean, most of them have been able to secure a good amount of scholarship, only because they happen to apply in round one. So if you are aiming for a good scholarship, I mean, try to get as soon as possible. I mean, round one is most preferred round. Round two is also okay. It's just that the amount of a scholarship will be reduced because most of the colleges, they have a pool of a scholarship and they make most of their decisions by round one, and whatever pool is remaining they distribute that in round two. So if you are aiming for scholarships, best is round one. uh, if not round one, then round two, but do not think beyond round two if you are aiming for scholarships.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think we would agree with that. Now, talking of scholarships, is anybody applying to INSEAD round four? Anyone of the candidates sitting here this year? They have extended their deadlines and they have doubled their scholarship, is what they've announced. The deadline is on 26th of August. You can let us know if you're applying. If nobody's applying, then it's fine. Financial planning, do you have any advice on that? How should one go about procuring loans, or because it's hard to, of course, fund your own education. If you're going for an MBA, it's so expensive. So how should one go about it? Pushkar, do you have any 2 cents on that? And then maybe Shantanu, you could advise candidates.
uh, in my case, what I did was I talked to few of my Berkeley seniors. I mean, I think they are the best ones to give the advice because I mean those guys, they have already done a bit of homework. So I got in touch with them, and they were the ones who suggested me few options. And I think foreign NBFCs works best. They offer a good interest rate. They offer good loans at good interest rate also, and the process is very hassle free. I mean, if you are taking loans, I also tried taking loans from Indian banks, and they were asking for hell number of documents. I mean, they started asking about my grandparents and grandmother, their names, their date of birth. I hardly knew those stuff. At least I didn't know their date of birth, and sadly they are not in this planet also. So I mean, I don't know why they were asking those stuff. They will collect n number of documents, and also the interest rate that they charge is somewhere around 11%, 11.5%. So I mean, that's also a bit on the higher end. So I would suggest taking loans from foreign NBFCs. I took a loan from Prodigy Finance. It's also one of the partner NBFC of Berkeley, and taking loans with them is very hassle free. They don't ask many details. I mean, Then they sanction loan in just 24 hours, 48 hours, they will sanction your loan. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that, Preeti.
Thanks, Pushkar. And I'm sure this advice really helps everyone here. Shantanu, I'm sure you have even though we have nothing, like we've not partnered with Prodigy, and I don't know why have we not, but we all talk about Prodigy all the time. I think they've just made it very easy for students to bag loans, just after you have an admit letter. So yeah, and I don't know if there is any other competitor out there that compares to Prodigy also right now in the market. So Shantanu, do you have anything to add apart from what Pushkar has mentioned?
Actually, I also took loan from Prodigy.
Yeah, back in the day, almost like it's been running since.
It's like without any collateral, without any cosigner. No
Yeah.
one in my family is bound to pay the loan if I am not able to. So yeah, I mean it's one of a deal you ever get in your life, right? It's an amazing thing. So guys, scholarships obviously R1 has more, but now I don't think you guys have enough time, right? But what really matters in scholarship is try to see it as an investment on you if school is giving you scholarship, right? Um, from that perspective, I think the biggest thing that I have seen applicants doing is pleading for scholarship. Hey, you know, my father used to go and cycle 6 kilometer away, and then I have also done this hardship and blah 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 and blah. Please give me scholarship. This is one way of asking, right? Then there's another way of asking is that, hey, I'm gonna ride the wave. I'm really gonna achieve what I'm saying, right? And then let me explain you how this investment that you're going to make on me, I'm going to further contribute towards your cause. And this is what I've done in life, right? Sorry. So yeah, this particular approach, first of all, matters. I think the biggest mistake that people make is following the first approach where you're just pleading, right? I do understand people talking about, I'm looking to get 50% scholarship, right? But I think somewhere at the back of their mind, they have believed they have already gotten into that school, right? Um, and I think what's most important is getting into the school. Scholarship only comes after that, right? There's no point in applying in R1 if you're not ready, right? If you don't have good essays just for the sake of scholarship, because you're not going to get it, because you're only going to get it once you have an admit, right? Now, as far as financing is concerned, I think it starts from the moment the thought of MBA pops up in the head, right? At that very moment, right? Even before you pay the first money for GMAT, right? You go and see like how much money is it going to cost me, right? You get a rough idea, you get a rough calculation that this is how much it's going to cost me, right? Now I'll see later which school and whatever it is, right? But I've gotten a fair bit of idea. We have applicants who have maintained an entire spreadsheet, right? When they come to us, there would be a spreadsheet and the tuition fee would be written over there, and the expenses, if it's a 1 year MBA, expense in 1 year and then expense in 2 years, how much it is. I think the thought of how much it's going to cost starts already, right? And definitely everyone is looking for scholarship, which we feel probably this year it might go up. The number of scholarships even in R2, right, is going to significantly go up, because if we are seeing number of scholarships doubling in R4, so in general we feel it's going to go up. But for financing, there are other options available as well, guys, right? I mean, we generally have applicants getting through like bunch of scholarships, like we have someone at Foucault getting 50% scholarship, at Columbia getting $45,000 scholarship, Rotman getting, I think 2025 CAD, LBS getting 35,000 pounds. And very recently we got one guy at INSEAD, I think 28 or 22,000 euros. I don't remember exactly. So yeah, schools are going to throw scholarship, and then post that, the loan options, just the way Pushkar mentioned, Prodigy. Even during my time, hardly took a week. And the school said, we have received the money, and then they refunded me the deposit that I made, from my bank account, So yeah, I mean, the loan process, M financing, and there are a bunch of other companies as well. The loan process is really very simple. And the reason they give you loan is just because of the piece of paper that says you got through these schools. It's just because it's a very safe loan that they're giving. I hope all of you understand the AAA rating, AA rating, that because of which the 2007, 2008 recession came. At the moment, I think there are only 1 or 2 companies which are AAA rated, which means 1.5 to 2% default rate. But here in this particular line, when someone is from these schools, top schools, the default rate is less than 1%. Right? So you see how lucrative investment opportunity is this. This is how the money is flowing, and there's a bunch of money flowing. It's very safe. It's safest than the top company listed on NASDAQ. So
I think all of us should
Don't
go to
worry.
business schools, graduate, come together, pool our money, and put money on the next batch of, candidates going to business schools. It's a very lucrative opportunity, candidates going to business school. That's what Prodigy hacked. What a business model that they've got. A beautiful model. But yeah, let's not, again, eulogize Prodigy for that. But I think it's very safe because for what I learned from candidates as well, that after you graduate, there's no window specifically until you bag a job. They are okay for you to not start repaying the loan as well, so you can take all the time that you need until you crack that job that you're really looking for, which I think which is the deal breaker, because somebody really letting you go to that business school and allowing you the time to find that right job is also a big deal, and not sitting on your head for that. So okay, I hope that added a lot of value for all of you who are thinking of going this year or next. Next question. How can applicants align post-MBA goals with the school's network and ROI?
Sorry, I don't think with the schools, what, network or?
Yeah, that's the question. So yeah, I mean, I think they want to understand, like, how do they align the post-MBA goals with the schools, and then probably the network and ROI and all of that is going to come into picture.
Pushkar, you want to go first?
Yeah, I can say about the things that I did. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very important to go through the employment reports, and those are listed on the website. So just go through the employment reports of last 3-4 years, and you will get to know what sort of companies are hiring and what sort of profiles are being hired. For example, in my case, I intend to work in sustainability space post my MBA as well. So, and I figured out that and that ecosystem around the entire ecosystem around Berkeley. I mean, the Silicon Valley, the California, they have a n number of clean tech startups working in sustainability space, climate domain. So all those stuff are there, and a lot of Berkeley alums are in those organizations as well. I mean, one interesting thing, one peculiar thing with US is that you get a job around, you get a job near to your college itself. I mean, if somebody is studying in the East Coast, they tend to land jobs in East Coast itself. So, I mean, most of the Berkeley alums, they were working in and around California, Silicon Valley, SF, those bits. So, I figured out that through the employment reports, through those by going to the profile of those companies, that how much one can how much one can earn while by getting into these organizations. And also one thing that you can do is talk to as many alums as possible. I mean, that's one thing I was very shy at. I mean, I never wanted to ping people on LinkedIn, asking for calls, chats, and queries. But I think, do as much as you can, guys. I mean, that's really, really helpful. And trust me, nobody will feel bad. Nobody will feel that you are intruding their space. I mean, it's very professional. If they have to reply, they will reply. Otherwise, they won't reply. So try to connect with as many people, talk to as many seniors as you can, and I think talking to alums will give you the most accurate picture around your post MBA plans, around what sort of jobs they are landing, what is the salary bracket, and those stuff.
Thanks, Pushkar. So just a little add-on to that, like Pushkar talked about how shy he is and how he didn't know the right approach. So just letting you know, Shantanu also, as a part of MBA and Beyond, with business schools, he trains people on how to network right. So as you are going to work, let's say if you're working with MBA and Beyond, you can always grab half an hour of Shantanu and ask him like, what are the tips and tricks, and please use them, because he's been doing that with ESA and now with Oxford said he's going to be doing that. So it's as a part of the business school also, you were going to learn like how it has to be done. But yes, networking to tap into where you want to be is also an essential part of your application journey. Again, which I will say, Pushkar, is very underrated, as the school selection is, because all these aspects beyond the values also go into that research. So the actual work to apply to a business school doesn't start when you start working on the essay. It starts like a year prior to that, when you the conception of the thought, maybe a year or 2 years prior sometimes. So I'm sure a lot of you who are ready to apply in round two, you'd be able to vouch for that. How long did it actually take you to arrive at the point when you actually started working on the essays? So it's a lot of work over there. Shantanu, do you have any inputs
Right.
on?
Right. So, if you're gonna write goals where school doesn't feel that they can be of any help, right, or they don't have network placed, for instance, um, let's say you wanna become, let's say, a project manager, right, in a space where even adcoms don't recognize that there's any network, right? So I'm not saying that you will not be able to crack, right? But in the application, adcoms also need to feel confident. Um, that's exactly where a lot of research around where does the network sit. Go on LinkedIn, try to see, right, like which companies are they in, what designations do they have, right? Because even the designation matters. If you're going to say I'm going to be HR in Amazon, and Amazon doesn't hire for HR from the for, let's say, from INSEAD, right? Or let's say Google, I'm going to be HR in Google, but Google is not hiring, but they hire the MBA graduates for a very different thing from those B schools. So you need to be wary of those things, right? Like what are those roles that the companies are hiring for? Definitely your goals with where the alum base is sitting, it matters a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, on to the next question. But I just like to add one thing about scholarship, which I missed earlier. So, one of the things which is also not recognized as much, the more schools you apply to, and if you get into, let's say, 2 to 3 schools of equal caliber, then, our consultants and Shantanu especially helps you negotiate with the business schools. That's also a potential possibility, which all of us are not aware of. Let's say if you get
I love doing that, guys, by the way.
yeah, so you get it. Let's say you
Don't
get
need to
into
write
MBS in
any
INSEAD.
you don't need
Yeah.
to write any essay for that. It's just
Yeah.
like haggling.
Yeah, so the job is, let's say, especially for Indian male engineers, like, or Indian males for that matter, because the diaspora is huge, and of course the volume of applications at business schools are high. The scholarships given out to us is very less. So the best bet that you have is apply to schools of equal caliber, make sure you get through, and then you negotiate with the business schools. There are various ways how you can do that. And yeah, I mean, just a disclaimer, Shantanu can advise you on how to negotiate with the business schools, because there is a next level art into that as well. So do capitalize on that. Don't just apply to one dream school, at least apply to 2 to 3 dream schools. So you make sure that you get into, at least the rival schools where
Yeah.
they compete with each other to have the candidates. Or, there are some rival schools out there. You can definitely get the list of them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's generally for the male candidates these days, like female candidates through us. I think there's hardly any female candidate that hasn't gotten scholarship. Hardly, like I don't remember. Um, but yeah, male candidates is where things get tricky. And yeah, guys, we got to haggle later on. But it's something that once you get admit, it's something that can definitely talk about.
Yeah, coming from two Indian male engineers, that fact, as a matter of fact, today. So sitting with us. Okay, next question is, and the last one, and I think we can wrap up after that. What helped you? Okay, so this is Pushkar for you, and this is, I think, more like question around emotional intelligence and everything. What helped you stay focused and balanced during your MBA application journey?
Yeah, I think you need to have good bunch of people around you. I was lucky to have good friends around me. I happen to share my flat with them. So, I mean, talking to them, just ranting about the entire process, all those things makes you feel sometimes happy, sometimes good. So you just need a few good people around you with whom you can talk without any filter. Uh, People who know you and who support you, and you need someone just to listen, not to seek any advice. Sometimes you do not need any advice in these things because you know the right thing, right? So sometimes you just need people to sit with you and share a coffee with you and just listen to all your rants. I mean, so that and that really helped me a lot. Another thing that my GMAT GRE tutor suggested me was meditation. So there is one app called Waking Up app. So I took a subscription for that app as well, and I used to meditate for like 15-20 minutes, and I did it till my interviews. And the day my interview was over, I just stopped meditating. So yeah, I mean these are couple of yeah, I mean these two things helped me.
Thank you for being so honest, Pushkar. I'm sorry I couldn't I couldn't stop laughing on the last part. I hope you did not uninstall that app because that will be used again when you're going to business school and your bubble is gonna burst.
I stopped paying the monthly subscription, so I will
Okay,
again repeat.
that's fair. That's fair. Well, that's fair and that's good. Thanks, Pushkar. Shantanu, do you have any 2 cents on that? And then we can totally wrap up the session.
Right. I mean, guys, it's a long process. Not gonna deny it. Very exhausting, right? When we work with applicants, um, and then when you tell them that, guys, this essay is not that good, you know, you've gotta change this. And I've seen their faces. They're like, I thought it's done. I thought we were done, right? And I think those are the moments, Pushkar, when you need your friends, just to talk about, right? Um, but indeed, it's a tough process. You actually have a lot of nights where you're sleepless, weekends you're not going out with friends, right? And especially when it comes closer to the deadline, um, people. I've seen even extrovert people tend to be in silo, right? Definitely, the way Pushka mentioned, um, your friends matter for sure, you know, and also in a lot of cases, guys, like I act as a head consultant, for all the applicants, and even if there's any applicant who would like to speak to me, um, obviously about anything, you know um, could take time. It sometimes takes time to find slot in my calendar, right? But would love to speak about it, right, with you, like there are a lot of applicants who are also simultaneously writing GMAT, and then they realize that, hey, I was hitting a 715, but now I feel I'm hitting a 695. I'm not sure what to, right? Should I still consider this particular round, or should I move ahead? And there are a bunch of questions that go in your head, right? So we are also here, guys, is what I would say. And then definitely the meditation app, Pushkar mentioned. Definitely needed,
Really good.
and then even after even during the MBA, you might need it, So yeah, don't uninstall it, Pushkar.
All right. Thanks, guys. This was a beautiful session. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you, and I hope everybody enjoyed the session today here as well. Just to let you know, we really support our candidates in a way. Sometimes candidates have, personal situation. They don't get the right GMAT. It's okay to push your plans. You can always pause your application with MBA and Beyond and come back later. Sometimes it may happen that you can, you don't want to apply this year and you want to apply next year. So that's all right. It's about, really facing what you're facing and accepting it. But if you feel you're really hitting a certain score on your mocks, get started on your application. That's all right too, because a lot of times candidates do that. So you're not losing time to get that perfect score. Then all the best for your applications. And yeah, if there are any more questions, feel free to reach out to me on email or to Shantanu, and we'd be happy to take it. Thank you, Pushkar. Thanks, Shantanu. Lovely session today.
Thanks everyone, and all the best, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.